If you've been listening to us for a while, you've been hearing us talking about the emotions within you. And you know that the emotions that feel really good over there where love and appreciation are, that they are all about your perception of your own empowerment. And that over there, those emotions that don't feel good, like despair and fear, they're all about your perception of disempowerment. And we talk about all of the emotions in between. In other words, when you feel disempowered, you are really not letting yourself be who you are. If you let yourself move in the direction of who you are into something like rage or revenge, at least you're moving in the right direction. If you keep moving into anger and then less anger, you're moving in the right direction. If you keep moving into frustration and overwhelmment, you're moving in the right direction. If you keep moving into hoping, you're moving in the right direction, into believing, into knowing, into love. In other words, there are so many different words and so many different feelings that all describe this emotional trail that you could be upon. But we want you to realize that you can't jump from despair all of the way over into appreciation, even if somebody tells you that you should, or even if you really want to. Because the vibrational frequencies are far enough apart, and you've got a sort of habit or vibration set up where you are. A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking, isn't it? A pattern of thought or a habit of thought. So what we're wanting you to begin to realize and to approach as we are moving through this day together is that rather than concentrating too hard on wanting to move from a particular emotion to another particular emotion, instead, if you will let the emotion that you are reaching for be the emotion of relief, because everything is relative, isn't it? If you have a sort of mantra or quest that right now, wherever I am, wherever I put my boat in the water, and we're going to give you something really profound that you might want to write down here, I am where I am. In other words, you are wherever you are, and the stream is flowing, and everything that you want is downstream. So if your determination is to find the best feeling thought that you can find from where you are, then you're finding the relief of turning and going with the flow for a little bit. Imagine that you have been hungry for a while, not for days or anything like that, but let's say all morning long you've been hungry, and now it's time for you to go get something to eat. And so as you sit in front of some delightful plate of food and you begin eating it, would it feel to you that that experience of eating, since you were hungry, would be a downstream experience or an upstream experience? Would feel downstream, wouldn't it? So now, let's say that you're eating, and you're eating and 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 eating. It's the second hour, you're eating. It's the third hour, you're eating. Now is continuing to eat downstream or upstream. Isn't that interesting? Now, let's say that you walk into a room, you've been outside, you've been mowing the lawn or running, and it's a hot, humid day, and you're really perspiring, and you walk into a room, and the thermostat on the room set at about 65 degrees, and when you walk in, you feel that cool contrast across your body. Would it feel downstream or upstream to you? Now, let's say you set yourself down in the room and you cool down pretty good, and an hour later it's 65 degrees, and 2 hours later it's 65 degrees, and 3 hours later it's 65 degrees. Would that 65 degree room 4 or 5 or 10 hours later be upstream or downstream to you? So we're wanting you to get the sense of this relativity. In other words, now let's say that you've been in that room and you're all cooled down. In fact, you're really cooled down. And now 100 really hot people who have been running a marathon walk into the room. How would they find the room? Who's right? They find it to be perfect for them. You find it to be very uncomfortable for you. The point that we're making here is that this vibrational relationship is always about you and where you stand, because you are a constant, we're not kidding you, moment by moment, expanding being. And as you are continuing to expand, you've got to keep up with your expansion. That's really what life is all about. We never see any of you decide that you'll go on a vacation and you've got a nice itinerary planned. You're at home and you're going to go there and there and there and there and there and there and there, and then you're going to go back home. We never see you look at these plans and say, now, wait a minute, let me be objective here. I'm going to go there, 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 and I'm going to come back home. I'm already home. Why go? Seems to me that I have already accomplished this vacation. I'm just going to check it off the list. And we say, you didn't go on the vacation to get it done. You went on the vacation for the fun along the way, for the insights, for the stimulation, for the expansion, for the fun of it. And this is the thing that we so want you to understand. You are where you are, and life has caused you to put so much in your vibrational escrow, and the larger part of you has already become it and is living it and is calling you toward it. Not just calling you toward it, but calling you and all of the circumstances and events and other co-creative friends, all of the rendezvous points, everything that is necessary for the culmination of what you have launched is all being summoned to this rendezvous point. And the only question that you ever want to ask yourself is, am I going willingly? Because you're going. You're going. When you croak, we promise you, you will become the expanded version that life caused you to become. And further, the new consciousness that is born back into physical comes from that expanded version. Do you get a sense of how that works? That's why we can pronounce to you unequivocally that life on planet Earth is getting better and better and better and better. As humans, you have not managed to scrape enough dirt together to launch another Earth into orbit. Have you noticed that? But you're not launching your Earths into orbit from your physical perspective. You are here causing an expansion of desire, and from the source energy perspective, all of that creation of worlds is taking place. And so, this wonderful dilution ratio thing is happening where you're giving birth to constant new rockets of desires. And whether you allow yourself to go with the flow of your rocket of desire or not, the larger part of you does. And the new energies that are being born into human form or into physical form are coming from that vantage point of that expanded knowledge of well-being. And then as the babies are being born, they're in that clear, sharp place of understanding their worthiness and their power. And so, while it's true that the longer you live in these physical bodies, the more that most of you find to fuss and worry about and pinch yourself off and struggle against and move upstream, but then you keep croaking. And new, enlightened, free-feeling, pure positive energy babies are being born. And then there are those like you, old, but you're not babies, who are finding now ways to deliberately turn downstream. So the dilution ratio of well-being is improving for humans, but we want to say to you, even if it were not to improve, and it must, it would be all right, because the largest vibration that law of attraction is responding to is the source energy part of you. So what we're getting at here, and we're going to speak it very clearly, the worst thing that you can do is pinch yourself off by not managing your own energy, by pushing against the stream that's going that way. That's the worst thing that you can do. You can't destroy your planet. You can't destroy the human race. You can't cease to exist. In other words, the well-being is so predominant. Have you looked around lately? Have you flown over or driven through any part of this magnificent world? Do you see the well-being ratio in relationship to the not well-being? Do you understand that well-being is so abundant? It always has been and it always will be. And the well-being is getting more well-being with every breath that you all take. And so we think you figured it out just right. You said, I'm a leading edge creator and I want the contrast to give birth to my new desire. And I understand the larger part of me will embrace it, not just embrace it and call me to it, but embrace it and call me to it and be it and never stop offering the vibration of it. And law of attraction will summon all things to it, and I will pay attention and I will listen for the call of source. And I will do my best to always move in the direction of the call of source. And then you say, well, what does the call of source sound like? Harps and angels, surely. And we say it depends on where you are. Depends on whether you're just coming into the room that's 65 degrees or whether you've been there for a while. The call of source always feels slightly better than where you are. And so as you're always listening for that slightly improved feeling, what you begin to notice is there is no ending to the improvement that life can be for you. So friends, it is our desire that you heard this story in the way that we intended for you to hear it. Because we want you to understand you're not doing it for us, because overall expansion is inevitable. You're not doing this to fix the world because the world is not broken. You're not doing this because others need it to be done. You're doing it for the joy of expansion. You're doing it because you can't cease to expand, and when you don't keep up with your own expansion, you don't feel good. In other words, that's it. That is the extent of your responsibility. Your responsibility is to let yourself in your human form be who life has caused you to become. And when you don't let yourself be it, you're pretty darn ornery. And we know you get very creative about who you blame, about not keeping up to speed with you. But we want you to leave this gathering knowing that every negative emotion that you feel means only one thing. You're not up to speed with who life has caused you to become. And you gotta be. And if you don't be in this physical form, it doesn't matter because you will be when you croak. But what's the point of being here in the physical experience if you're not staying up to speed with who you are? In other words, that's the joy of life. That's what you knew you would experience when you came forth to be here. Future generations will benefit dramatically by the contrast that you are living and what you are putting in vibrational escrow, because many of them are being born in the understanding that your struggle caused to put there. Just as you, as a civilization, are benefiting dramatically by the contrast that past generations lived. But we want you to understand that you intended to benefit by your own exposure to your own contrast. And that is really only when life gets really good. You can feel the difference between living something and getting an idea out of it, and feeling the freshness of the idea, and then recognizing that the idea is more advanced than you are. But then you work to become aligned with the idea. So you deliberately find a way of looking at it that lets you line up with it. And you feel yourself gradually coming into alignment until you can feel that you have now achieved vibrational alignment with your new idea. And then you get the benefit of watching circumstances and events begin to actualize around you, and you're able to put two and two together. You know, you remember when you birthed the idea, and you remember how screwy it felt. And then you remember how you followed your guidance, and how you listened for the call of source, and how you deliberately reached for better and better feeling thoughts, and you deliberately brought yourself into alignment, and you felt your own emotion improve as you came into alignment, and you felt the fun of all of that taking place vibrationally before there was any physical evidence. And then you got to begin to see the physical evidence begin shaping up, and you had no question in your mind. You knew the absolute correlation between what the contrast had helped you to give birth to, your conscious deliberate attention to your thought, your following your guidance and trying to bring yourself into alignment. You remember coming into vibrational alignment with it. You remember the night your fever broke and you actually came into alignment with your own dream, and then you got to watch the blissful experience of the cooperative universe all lining up circumstances and events in order to assist you, and you now know unequivocally that you did that. It does not get any better than that. When you are limpidly just observing, so you're vibrating here and you're vibrating here and you're creating this and you're creating that, but you have no conscious realization of your creative control, that's not fun. That's not deliberate creating. That's creating by default. That's regurgitation. That's looking around. That's offering a vibration. Oh, I see that. I offer a vibration because I'm seeing that, and now I'm attracting stuff around it, and oh, I don't take any responsibility for it because I'm sloppy in my vibration. I go to the health food store and I specifically buy very special things to eat. I line them all up. I eat all the right things, and then I sit myself down in front of CNN while I eat. And we say, we want you to be as picky about what you think and about how you feel as you are about the things that you eat or the way you dress or the cars you drive or even the movies you go to. If you begin to be deliberate in your direction of thought, and then you get to consciously witness the cooperative universe responding to you, you're going to come back into your power, and you're going to begin to understand that it does not matter where you are. The movement in the direction of that which you are becoming always feels good. Compare yourself with no one else. It does not matter where they are. They're in their own stream, and their stream has nothing to do with your stream. Don't listen to the things that they are telling you because they cannot possibly guide you. They can't even tell what's upstream and what's downstream for you, because they don't know who you were coming in. They don't know how your life has touched you. They don't know what you've put into your vibrational escrow, but you know, you can feel the difference. So Now you know everything we know.